This is the Acer Predator Helios Neo 16 AI. Yeah, Acer, I think it's time for a new naming scheme. This is Acer's balls-to-the-wall gaming laptop, and it looks very promising. But is it actually any good? Let's find out. And please like and subscribe if you like these type of videos. From the outside, the Predator 16, yes, I'm not saying the full name, is pretty sleek looking. Yes, the vents and the ass do give it away, but it doesn't scream gamer from the other side of the room. It has a metal top lid, which keeps it sturdy while closed, but the rest of the body is unfortunately made of plastic, so it could be better. It doesn't flex much though, and it does feel like a well-built laptop. It is on the thicker side of laptops, which hopefully means it has great cooling, and it's definitely on the heavy side, but this is pretty normal for a gaming laptop, because the Predator 16 is packed to the brim with specs. With the fastest current Intel CPU and an RTX 5070 Ti, this thing should be an absolute beast. That 5070 Ti gets access to its full 140 watts, which is the highest this chip can go, and that's also the case for the higher GPU options. Full wattage on each one means no limitations anywhere. And pair that with a 24-core Intel processor, and as long as it's cooled well, we should be seeing some great performance. Its port selection is actually above average. With 3 USB-A ports, as well as some ports on the back, this is great. Its charging brick is an actual brick. It's heavy and big, but that does have its reasons. It delivers quite a bit of power, so those power-hungry components shouldn't be limited. You can use a smaller brick for on the go though, since it also supports USB-C charging. Just keep in mind that that won't give you full performance. Okay, moving on to its keyboard. It has a 4-zone RGB backlight, which looks very pretty and gets damn bright. You could keep it on a boring color, so you're not a walking epilepsy hazard, but where's the fun in that? Here's what the keys feel and sound like. This is a really comfortable keyboard to type on. It's well balanced, has enough key travel, and it's pretty clicky. Oh, and it also has a numpad, very tightly packed in there. Moving down, we have its trackpad. I myself don't really like that it's off to the left like this, but at least it's pretty big. It is made of plastic, but it doesn't feel cheap. And the clicks themselves feel very satisfying. So overall, a great keyboard and trackpad. Its display is also nothing to scoff at. With it having a 2.5K 240Hz IPS panel, this is basically as good as it gets for LCDs. It is exceptionally smooth. With a high refresh rate and fast pixel response times, playing games on this thing feels awesome. And the colors are great as well. It's vibrant, color accurate, and actually has some great contrast. It's not an OLED though, so in the dark you might notice some backlight bleeding in darker scenes. But this panel gets very bright. They say it goes up to 500 nits, but it looks like a lot more. It also has a regular matte coating, so you don't have a mirror as a display, but it does produce some glare obviously. Most people don't care though. Its hinge feels very high quality and well balanced. It's not so tight that you can't open it up with one hand, but it's also not that loose that it wobbles around. And it also opens up pretty far, but not to a full 180 degrees unfortunately. Now, speakers are always a mixed bag for gaming laptops. Most brands just don't care. So how does the Predator sound? It actually sounds pretty okay. They are downfiring only, so it does sound a bit muffled, but it gets pretty loud, sounds decently clear, and it actually has some bass. You do have to make sure to put it on the automatic or the music setting though, otherwise it sounds pretty terrible. But in general, it definitely sounds above average compared to other gaming laptops. Its microphone has a little bit of a hissing sound, but is pretty good. And its camera is also pretty good, albeit a bit grainy. But what makes a gaming laptop is its high performance. And with powerful components and high wattages, how fast is this thing really? Well, in Cinebench R23, that Ultra 9 275HX crushes it. Being the fastest Intel chip, it basically sits at the top in both multi and single core performance. And in 3D Mark TimeSpy, it also does really well. That 5070 Ti is getting plenty of power, and actually reaches the highest score for this chip I've seen so far. But benchmarks don't really show how it performs in a mixed CPU and GPU workload. So let's see how it performs in some actual games.
No, you... Paco, you are cheating. The last one is...
I'll hack you to pieces. Ha! You'll never take me down.
What did you do, man? No!
And to nobody's surprise, the Predator 16 is great at gaming. It performed really well in both CPU and GPU intensive games, even at its high native resolution of 1600p, with no instabilities anywhere. With the max wattages that this thing has, it doesn't get limited anywhere, and it actually goes a step beyond what's allowed. Normally, RTX 5070 Ti laptop chips are limited to 140 watts, including 25 watts of dynamic boost. But for some reason, this beast of a laptop reached 160 watts in some scenarios, which is crazy. This shouldn't be officially possible, since Nvidia put a very hard limit on GPU wattages back in 2023. But I guess that this guy just doesn't care, and it performs really well because of it. But performance only goes so far if it runs way too hot, right? So how are the thermals of the Predator 16? Well, it's actually really good. Its CPU reached maximums of 87 degrees Celsius, which is far from its thermal limits, and the GPU didn't go higher than 82 degrees, which is very impressive for 160 watts of power draw. So it performs amazingly, and it's also kept nice and cool. So what's the downside here? Well, like always, it's fan noise. Yeah, this thing is pretty loud. However, it does stay completely silent during lighter tasks and while on battery. But overall, the Predator 16 is cooled very well. But all of that power doesn't sound like good news for the battery, does it? Well, I tested battery life in two different scenarios, under light use and during gaming. In the light use test, I played a YouTube video until its battery died, with its display at 80% brightness, at 60 Hz, and with a dedicated GPU turned off. And yeah, it didn't last very long. The Ultra 9 275HX is made for power, not efficiency. Normally, laptop chips have some kind of power-efficient cores, which use less power on battery. Well, the 275HX doesn't have any of those, so naturally it lasts a lot shorter. But it does have the highest battery life of any 275HX laptop I've tested so far. Now in the gaming test, I played Battlefield 1 until its battery died, with the same settings as before. And of course, it didn't last very long. Gaming laptops are not made to play games on battery. Please just get a gaming handheld if you want to do that. But how is this thing's upgradeability? because normally gaming laptops are pretty thick and have a lot of space for modular components. So what about the Predator 16? Well, luckily that's still the case here. It has 2 SODIMM slots, so it is fully upgradable in terms of RAM. It also has 2 M.2 SSD slots, so storage upgrades are very easy. And it even has a Wi-Fi card slot, which could be handy in the future. So if you want to have a laptop with 96 gigabytes of RAM, go for it. But now we have to talk about the part that nobody likes. How much does this thing cost? Well, here in Europe, it's pretty damn pricey, being one of the more expensive 5070 Ti gaming laptops. But in America and the global Amazon page, it's actually one of the cheaper 5070 Ti gaming laptops. And it's pretty damn affordable, which is really impressive considering how fast this thing is. Now the Neo 16S is also an option, which is basically a thinner version of this laptop with lower power limits. But then again, that's a completely different laptop, so I don't know how good it is. Okay, time for a conclusion here. Is the Acer Predator Helios Neo 16 AI worth it? Well, for both the EU and US prices, I would say yes. It is one of the highest performing 5070 Ti laptops I've tested so far. And with it having high wattages on the higher spec GPU options as well, I'm sure those things are even more of a beast. It handled every game I threw at it with high frame rates at a high resolution. It's got a very comfortable keyboard and trackpad, a really good smooth IPS display, and it's not ugly. Yes, it's pretty thick, and it's definitely not a thin and light, especially with that heavy brick. But if you want a top-end, high-performing laptop, then the Predator 16 is a very good choice. But there is a laptop with a faster CPU. The Strix G16 from Asus also has the highest power limits, but with the fastest processor you can get on a laptop, the Ryzen 9 9955 HX3D. So which one is faster and which laptop is better? Well, let's compare them in the next video, where I'm comparing those two head-to-head in full detail. Now let me give a huge shout out to my YouTube members. Soundwife, Thomas, Inky, Mr. Frosty Dude, Dropzone1, Martijn Snijkers, Flimsy, Aki, Disco Volante, Mr. Nuke, Sebastian, Christian Sands, Real Elf, Eric the Rad, Wesley Rhodes, Michael, Ghost Data, Ano Gadar, Abdullah, and Madepeace. If you become a YouTube member, you get early access to content of mine, a shout out at the end of every video, and you'll also be supporting me as a creator to make these videos. And of course, you'll also be part of the Cool Guys Club, so you can use cool emojis like these in the comment section. So join the club if you're interested. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.